A very short time has passed since the devastating earthquake in Izmir. After the earthquake, officials, experts, public officials and citizens whose homes were damaged in the demolition spoke. The fault lines were explained up to the capillaries, ground warnings were made, and the precautions to be taken before hours were shared. However, live television broadcasts were cut like a knife when the debris removal efforts were over. Television players returned to their homes, earthquake experts retreated to their corners until another shake and the agenda changed. The relatives of our 116 citizens who lost their lives under the wreckage, their relatives left behind, and those whose houses were destroyed were left alone with the frost that crushed the nights in tents. Fortunately, the metropolitan municipality always stood by them. This is the painful truth of the earthquake country. These are spoken after every earthquake. Then, as if it will never happen again, the warnings, dangers, and promises that make people sleepy are forgotten. Those who live in earthquake-weary buildings, with the effect of the helplessness caused by the collapse in the economy, they set out to survive in buildings that are cracked right and left and that are obviously going to collapse in a new earthquake of similar magnitude. This vicious circle always occurs until a new earthquake. Therefore, I warn all officials without making any distinction between public and local administrations. I even scream at the top of my lungs. I beg you to remember and not to forget the heartbreaking reality of the earthquake, which was told with heartbreaking lines by a citizen who lived in Gölkük with all his horror about the disaster of the 17th of August 1999. What we experienced in the Gölkük earthquake is indescribable. Our house was destroyed. I lost my daughter, uncle and aunt. We were able to extract my aunt's body from under the rubble on the 6th day. We couldn't recognize it first, we showed it to her mother. The woman cried and hugged, "My dear girl." We buried the funeral at 2300 at night. One day later, something hard to believe happened. We found my real aunt under the wreckage. It had become that even his mother could not recognize. Before long, the owners of the funeral that we buried as my aunt accidentally came and said, "We want our funeral." Again at night we dug the grave and handed over the deceased. Instead we buried my real aunt. We found my uncle's wife above the waist in one room and the other half in another. In that situation, I cannot explain how I put it in the body bag, because I cannot contain my tears. Why am I writing these? Although 21 years have passed, I see it in my dreams every night. I am writing so that the fact that we live in an earthquake country is not forgotten and that precautions should be taken in all risky areas, especially the expected Istanbul earthquake. Not content with writing, I'm begging. So I was not the only one pleading. This painful citizen is also begging. We are all begging. Immediately take the earthquake at the forefront of the country's agenda and do what is necessary.